For Forrest Sawyer, here's Carol Simpson.
Good evening. In the Philippines, thousands of American military personnel and their families are now evacuating Clark Air Force Base. It's already Monday morning there. The reason, nearby Mount Pinatubo, a volcano that's been dormant for more than 600 years, has begun cracking and steaming and is threatening life and property for miles around. The latest from ABC's Nathan Thomas.
The eruptions filled the sky with ash and sent a river of lava 60 miles an hour down one side of the mountain. Volcanologists say this is just the beginning. More than 10,000 people who live within 12 miles of Mount Pinatubo have been evacuated. The Red Cross and Philippine government have set up shelters outside the danger area. One of the two American military bases in the Philippines, Clark Air Force Base, is only 10 miles from the volcano. Overnight, American planes were being flown out and some hospital patients were evacuated. By this morning, the situation had gotten worse.
The unrest at Mount Pinatubo is continuing, and in fact, it's slightly increased since yesterday.
So all but essential military personnel and all dependents have been told to evacuate Clark Air Force Base. Because there has been time to evacuate local residents, officials hope that if a major eruption happens, the loss of life will be minimal. But many of these people are farmers, and if nothing happens soon, officials fear they may move back to tend their crops and animals despite the danger. Nathan Thomas, ABC News, Manila.
Another volcano, this one on an island off the coast of Japan, is threatening another catastrophic eruption. The volcano first erupted a week ago, killing 38 people. Then last night it exploded again, spewing a scalding stream of lava, gases, and debris, which engulfed the outskirts of a small resort town. The Soviet Union's top banking official was in Switzerland today, appealing for massive technical assistance from the West and pushing an unprecedented debt rescheduling plan, all to bring some measure of stability to the Soviet Union's volatile economy. How to help Mikhail Gorbachev do just that is becoming a major headache for official Washington, as ABC's Kathleen Delaski reports.
Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev has turned his plea for economic aid into a cataclysmic warning. In Oslo, he said the Soviet Union is entitled to expect large-scale support from the West. And without it, hope for world peace will vanish. Today on This Week with David Brinkley, two Democratic senators said Gorbachev's warning sounds like a threat.
It is an attempt at a new form of nuclear blackmail. Give us money or we won't be able to control our nuclear weapons.
And the Soviets are asking for a lot of money. A high-level Soviet delegation said it might take $250 billion to ensure a peaceful transition to a market economy. Vice President Quayle called cash aid for the Soviets a non-starter. Most Republicans and Democrats agree.
They haven't made the basic changes in their economic system. And if we just pour money in there, which I do not favor, then that will be like pouring it into the big black hole in space.
Surprisingly, though, a member of the Soviet Central Committee said today his country does not expect money from the West anytime soon.
What Gorbachev is looking for now, he is asking for the direct participation of the West, of the U.S., in the Soviet domestic reform.
But even here, the administration is being cautious, promising little more than relaxed trade restrictions. Some observers say the administration is reluctant to get deeply involved with a man whose reputation for reform is still tenuous. Kathleen Delaski, ABC News, Washington.
Russian political maverick Boris Yeltsin today condemned Gorbachev for seeking handouts from the West and promised a more dignified push for economic reform. That is, if he is victorious this Wednesday and becomes the first directly elected president of the Soviet Union's biggest republic. Here's ABC's David Ensor.
Russia's champion of reform is the clear frontrunner in the race to become the first elected president of the republic. Boris Yeltsin faces a field of 5 other candidates, but among them he's the most natural campaigner, making good use of TV.
Yeltsin's greatest advantage is that he's a legend, and appearing on the screen, he manages not to destroy the legend, but on the contrary, to promote the legend.
Nikolai Ryzhkov is Yeltsin's main rival, running as the candidate of the communist old guard. The former Soviet prime minister says Yeltsin and even Soviet President Gorbachev want to move too fast towards a market economy. Third in the opinion polls is Vadim Bakatin, a pro-reform communist. Soviet TV tried to humanize his image by asking what was more difficult, speaking out in parliament or saying he loved someone for the first time. Bakatin said love was harder than politics. Then there is Vladimir Zhirinovsky, who promises almost anything to attract attention, including cheap vodka, and he says he'll fight to get Alaska back, all of it, from the U.S. And posing with troops, a dyed-in-the-wool reactionary, General Albert Makashov.
Simply all these candidates, they do represent different layers, different political groups in the society. And in this sense, this struggle is for real.
It is for real, and the outcome will shape the future political landscape here. A solid Yeltsin victory would frighten hardliners but speed up change. A closer race or a surprise result could set the stage for further political struggle. David Ensor, ABC News, Moscow.
Coming up, the complicated defense of deposed Panamanian dictator Manuel Noriega. Why Palestinians are condemning Arab vigilantes in the occupied territories. And later in this broadcast, Muhammad Ali, still the greatest after all these years.
World News Sunday, brought to you by Ford.